Imagine you are standing in front of a mirror that does not reflect your hair, your skin, or your wrinkles, but reflects the way you have lived. That mirror does not care how old you are. It only shows you the habits you repeat each day and how those habits are shaping your future. Some people look into it and see calmness, vitality, and eyes that still hold the light of awareness. But others see only the tiredness accumulated over the years, heavier breaths, slower steps, and a quiet question echoing within. Why am I aging so quickly? Stoic philosophy says that people are not defeated by time, but by the small actions they overlook. One night of poor sleep, one stressful day, one rushed meal, 1 week without movement. Each one seems harmless, yet they are the very things that quietly steal away your youth. The ancients told the story of an old man who lived in the mountains, still clear-minded at 95. When asked about his secret, he simply said, "I avoid the things that make a person wither without them realizing it." No hidden techniques, no luck, only awareness in every habit. Today I want to look with you at the things that seem small, but are quietly shortening our lifespan. And from there, reclaim the power to take control of ourselves again. Habit 1, not sleeping enough and disregarding rest. There is a truth few people want to face. Every night you do not sleep enough, you are taking away a piece of your own youth. The human body is like a sophisticated factory designed by nature to repair, regenerate, and renew itself at night. When you close your eyes, nothing shuts down. On the contrary, a quiet world inside you begins to work. Cells are restored, memories are organized, the immune system is strengthened, and the mind is cleared of the debris left behind from a long day. But when you skip sleep, or trade it for working late, scrolling on your phone, or watching the news until midnight, you are shutting down that factory before the work is finished. The body becomes tired, the mind becomes cloudy, and the spirit falls into a constant state of tension. And then you look in the mirror and wonder why you are aging so quickly. Stoic philosophy reminds us that whatever is within our control must be done properly. Rest is not weakness, it is wisdom. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that every morning we wake up is a privilege, but that privilege exists only when you respect your own limits. Sleeping enough is not a luxury. It is the foundation of health, clarity, and a long, high-quality life. When you allow yourself to rest, you are not falling behind. You are preparing to move forward with greater strength. Habit 2, chronic stress. Stress does not always come from big events. It comes from the small things that repeat every day. An alarm ringing too early, an appointment running late, bills higher than expected, quiet worries no one else sees. At first you think you just need to push a little harder, but then that little more stretches into years, and at some point, you realize your body has worn down like a machine that is never allowed to shut off. In Stoic philosophy, the mind is compared to water. When it is constantly disturbed, the surface becomes cloudy, losing its ability to reflect the world clearly. Chronic stress works the same way. It does not only exhaust you, it takes away your clarity, your alertness, and the joy of living that you should have had. Inside you, cortisol quietly builds up, and cell by cell, your body begins to age faster. What is worth noting is that most stress comes from things outside your control. The weather, other people's behavior, events that have already happened. But Stoic philosophy reminds us that it is not the events that make us suffer, it is the way we interpret them. When you learn to pause, take a deep breath, and observe your own mind, you will realize that the pressure is not as heavy as you once believed. Freeing yourself from stress is not about changing your entire life, but about changing the way you move through each day. When the mind becomes calm, your youth becomes calm with it. Habit 3, mindless eating and processed food. The human body is an intricate machine created by nature with perfect harmony. Yet many people fuel that machine with cheap fuel, fast food, processed meals, hurried bites in front of the TV, or quick, temporary fixes of sugar and greasy snacks. When mindless eating becomes a habit, we do not only lose our connection with our own body, we also force every cell to work under heavier strain. Stoic philosophy teaches us moderation and mindfulness in every action, including the way we eat. But many people living in America are swept up by the pace of life. eating when stressed, eating when bored, eating to fill emotional gaps. At some point, they realize they no longer control what they put into their own body. And when control is lost, health follows. Processed foods, though convenient, always carry a hidden cost. Artificial sugars, preservatives, unhealthy fats. All of these promote inflammation, accelerate aging, and make you feel tired even when you eat a lot. The paradox is that the more you eat this way, the less energy you have. Stoicism reminds us, a person who cannot control their mouth will struggle to control their life. Every meal is a choice. Every choice is a step forward or a step backward. When you eat with awareness, you are not only nourishing your body, you are training discipline, clarity, and respect for yourself. Habit 4, lack of movement and a sedentary lifestyle. The human body was designed to walk, reach, move, and experience the world with flexibility. But in modern life, especially for those living in America, movement has gradually become a luxury. We spend long hours in front of screens, in cars or on the sofa, and then we wonder why our body feels heavier, more sluggish, and why we seem to age so quickly. A lack of physical activity does not drain us all at once. It quietly wears us down little by little, like a slow drip of water that can erode even a giant stone. Stoic philosophy reminds us that the body is a tool for practicing awareness. But when you let it stay still for too long, the mind gradually becomes stagnant as well. One day of sitting too much makes your back ache, but many years of sitting too much makes the spirit grow weary. You lose your flexibility, your sense of initiative, and the feeling that you are truly alive. What is important is that movement does not require anything complicated. A short walk outdoors, a few stretches in the morning, or simply standing up to change your posture every hour. All of these are ways of reminding your body that it is still alive, still capable of movement, still capable of recovery. Stoicism teaches that we cannot control age, but we can control how we treat our body. Every step is an affirmation that you are choosing to live with intention, and sometimes just standing up is already a victory over stagnation. Habit 5, dehydration and drinking too little water. Your body is like a garden given to you from the day you were born. When it is watered enough, everything in that garden becomes vibrant. Your skin feels softer, your mind becomes clearer, and your body operates more smoothly. But when you forget to drink water or replace water with coffee, soda, or sugary drinks, that garden slowly becomes dry. Leaves do not wither because of a great storm, but because of long days without care. Many people living in America do not recognize the signs of dehydration until the body speaks through fatigue, headaches, dull skin, or difficulty concentrating. But those are only the surface. Deep inside, each cell is working harder, the blood becomes thicker, and the detoxification system slows down. Silent aging does not come from time, but from the body lacking the simplest thing it needs to exist: water. Stoic philosophy reminds us that the most important things are often very simple. A glass of water may not bring an immediate sensation, but it is one of the most powerful acts of self-care you can give your body. It is a gentle yet persistent form of discipline, a reminder that you are choosing to live consciously, not drifting through life on autopilot. Do not wait until your body cries for help. Drink water as a simple ritual of self-respect. When the garden is watered, everything within you will naturally revive. Habit 6, UV exposure and excessive sunlight. Sunlight has a kind of beauty that easily deceives us. It gives a sense of health, radiance, and sometimes makes us believe that soaking up more sun will make the body look younger. But UV rays are not as gentle as they appear. They are like invisible blades, quietly penetrating the skin, breaking down collagen, weakening the supporting structure, and leaving marks that only become visible on your face many years later. Many people living in America enjoy beaches, long sunbathing trips, and the look of honey-bronze skin. But the price does not show up immediately. It arrives slowly, quietly. The skin darkens, becomes rougher, loses elasticity, and wrinkles appear earlier than your real age. That is not natural aging. It is the consequence of underestimating the power of the sun. Stoic philosophy reminds us that a wise person does not underestimate a danger simply because it arrives slowly. Prevention is always the strongest shield. A layer of sunscreen each day, a hat, a few minutes avoiding harsh sunlight. These are not inconveniences, but the actions of someone who understands the value of their own future. Protecting your skin is not about outer beauty, but about respecting the body that has carried you through every year of your life. The sun will always be there, but you can absolutely choose how much of your youth you allow it to take. Habit 7. Smoking and accumulated toxins. There are habits people hold on to even when they know they are harming themselves. Smoking is one of them. Every stream of smoke that enters the lungs does not only carry a familiar taste, it also brings hundreds of toxins that slip into the bloodstream, wearing down each cell and each breath. The damage does not happen instantly. It is slow and silent, like a drop of water falling on the stone over and over, gradually eroding it without anyone noticing until it is too late. In Stoic philosophy, human beings are born to master themselves, not to become slaves to any desire or habit. But cigarettes make many people living in America lose that sense of control. They smoke when stressed, smoke when sad, smoke out of habit, and each time they are shortening their own lifespan little by little. The consequences appear on the skin before they appear in the lungs. The complexion becomes dull, wrinkles deepen, and the face begins to age prematurely. Inside, the heart must work harder. The lungs lose their vitality, and the body falls into a state of silent inflammation. Stoicism reminds us that to live rightly, we must begin by not harming ourselves. Quitting smoking is not only about giving up a bad habit, it is an act of affirming the strength of your will. Each day without a cigarette is a step that brings you closer to health, clarity, and youth. Habit 8. Frequent drinking. Alcohol has a very clever way of showing up. In gatherings, celebrations, sad moments, and even in those evenings when we simply want to relax at the end of the day. It makes us believe that one small glass is harmless, that a few sips are just to sleep better, that drinking with friends is completely normal. But what happens silently inside the body is very different. Every time alcohol enters the bloodstream, the liver must work hard to filter out toxins, the brain slows down, the skin becomes dehydrated, and the nervous system becomes overstimulated. All of these things repeated over the years create aging that cannot be reversed. Stoic philosophy reminds us that short-term pleasure often carries a long-term cost. A wise person does not allow themselves to depend on anything that weakens their reason. And alcohol, even just a little, is something that easily pushes people past that boundary without them realizing it. For many people living in America, drinking has become a cultural habit. But the truth is, the body does not distinguish between social habit or entertainment. It only knows that every drop of alcohol is damaging cells, worsening the skin, tiring the heart, and taking away the clarity of the next day. Stoicism teaches that true freedom comes when we no longer depend on anything. An evening without alcohol is not the loss of joy. It is a gift you give to your liver, your heart, your mind, and your own youth. Habit 9. Social isolation and lack of connection. Human beings are social creatures. We become stronger, clearer, and live longer when we are connected. But in the rhythm of modern life in America, isolation has become a common habit. Many people spend the entire day in front of screens, then return at night to a quiet house with no deep conversations, no shared laughter, and no one to confide in about their joys or sorrows. Loneliness does not arrive in a single moment. It comes slowly, like darkness spreading through a room where no one turns on the light. Stoicism reminds us that a bee cannot live apart from its hive, just as a person cannot live apart from their community. When you separate yourself from the world, the mind becomes heavier, emotions slip more easily into negativity, and the body begins to respond with fatigue, insomnia, and a weakened immune system. Modern science also shows that social isolation increases the risk of depression, heart disease, and premature aging. Exactly the things the ancients intuitively understood. The good news is that even a small connection is enough to change everything. A greeting to a neighbor, A phone call to a loved one, a coffee with an old friend, or simply a conversation with someone at the park. Every exchange is a dose of medicine for the soul. Stoicism teaches that to live well, we must be part of the world. When you open your heart to others, you yourself are revived. Habit 10. Living without purpose. There are days when you wake up, go through your usual routine, yet feel an emptiness inside that you cannot quite describe. That is the sign of a life without purpose, a journey in which you no longer know where you are heading. Without a goal, the mind becomes dull. Without direction, every step feels heavier. And it is this sense of drifting that ages the spirit and the body faster than almost anything else. Stoic philosophy believes that every person needs a reason to live, a steady anchor that shapes their actions each day. Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." When you have a purpose, challenges become lessons. When you lack purpose, even the smallest things become burdens. Many people living in America fall into this drifting state, working, paying bills, fulfilling responsibilities, yet no longer feeling that they are moving toward anything meaningful. They slowly lose motivation, lose joy, and lose the sharpness of their own mind. What matters is that your purpose does not need to be grand. It can be caring for your family, improving your health, learning something new, or simply becoming a better version of yourself each day. Stoicism teaches that purpose is not a destination, but the guiding light along the way. When you rediscover your why, the youth within your spirit returns as well. Habit 11. Skipping health checkups. The body is like a vehicle that has carried you through decades. It has taken you through difficult stages, supported you when you felt weak, and served you even when you did not care for it properly. But just like any vehicle, if it is not checked regularly, small issues will quietly build up and suddenly explode into major problems. Many people living in America believe that as long as they feel fine, there is no need to see a doctor. But the most frightening thing is that these so-called nothing's wrong moments are often the very first signs of danger. Stoic philosophy teaches that we must not overlook small things. A faint symptom, a mild pain, a brief moment of discomfort, all are the body's way of speaking to you. Ignoring them is not strength, it is a lack of responsibility toward yourself. Getting health checkups is not about living in fear, but about understanding that prevention is always easier than treatment. When you set aside one day in the year to examine your body, you are choosing awareness, choosing longevity, and choosing not to let yourself fall into a passive position. Stoicism reminds us that wisdom lies in seeing beyond the present moment. Do not wait until the body has to shout. Listen to it while it is still whispering. That is how you preserve both your youth and your life. Habit 12. Screen addiction and blue light. We are living in an age where the moment you open your eyes, blue light is already touching them. Phones, computers, TVs, all compete for your attention, pulling you away from the real world and drawing you into an endless stream of information, news, images, and comparisons. At first, you think you are only checking for a few minutes to stay updated, but those few minutes turn into hours, leaving your mind exhausted, your sleep disrupted, and your emotions more fragile. Stoicism teaches that the mind needs stillness to see the true nature of things. But when you are constantly immersed in the stimulation of screens, the mind no longer has space to rest. Blue light disrupts your biological rhythm, making it harder for the body to distinguish between day and night. And every night you stay up late because you want to watch just a little more is another step you take toward premature aging. The most dangerous part is the feeling that nothing is wrong. But in reality, you are trading tomorrow's clarity for a few minutes of entertainment today. You are letting your emotions be controlled by things that lie outside your control. Stoicism reminds us that whatever controls your mind controls your life. Turning off the screen is not abandoning modern comforts. It is how you reclaim your mental freedom, your peace, and the youth you thought you had lost. Habit 13. Losing joy, laughter, and lightness. There are signs of aging that do not appear on your face or in strands of gray hair, but in the moments when you no longer laugh as much as you used to. There are no more bursts of natural laughter, No more childlike enjoyment of small things. No more lightness in the mind. When joy disappears, a person ages very quickly, not in the body, but in their eyes and their spirit. In Stoic philosophy, joy is not something you chase. It is a state that appears when the mind is freed from anxiety and expectations. But modern life in America, with its financial pressures, work demands, and family responsibilities, keeps many people in a constant state of tension. Laughter becomes rare, joy is replaced by obligation, and the heart grows heavy as if carrying an invisible stone. The important thing is that joy never truly disappears. It is only forgotten. A conversation with a friend, an afternoon walk, a familiar song, or simply seeing sunlight streaming through the window. All of these can rejuvenate the soul if you allow yourself to feel them. Stoicism teaches that life is not only about overcoming hardship, but also about appreciating beauty when it appears. When laughter returns, when lightness returns, the youth within you returns as well. When you look back on this entire journey, you will realize that aging does not come from the passing of years, but from the choices you repeat every day. The body does not suddenly become weak. It simply reflects how you have treated it. The mind does not become tired on its own. It wears down because of what you allow inside it. And the spirit does not naturally grow heavy. It is only waiting for you to remove the habits that have forced it to carry too much weight. Stoic philosophy always reminds us, no one can take away the youth in your soul except you. When you sleep enough, care for your body, connect with others, rediscover simple joy, and keep your mind awake, you are, step by step, giving back to yourself the vitality, the clarity, and the freedom that age can never measure. The most important thing is not how many of these habits you have, but that you begin to change starting today. Just one small decision, one small action, one more mindful choice, all of these will create a big difference over time. If these reflections resonate with you, leave a comment saying, "I choose wisdom." That will be a gentle commitment you make to yourself. Please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next video. And do not forget to share this video with your loved ones, because someone out there may need a reminder to live slower, deeper, and longer. See you in the next video, where we continue our journey toward a wiser and more fulfilling life.